No, never at all. You know, the process actually happened a bit faster than it might have. You know, we basically have been operating the club for 1 year and have been very, very active in a sales process, but sometimes these things take time. So we're fortunate to be able to be here today and have two great owners, and David Blitzer and Ryan Smith, and kind of lead the next era of professional soccer here in Salt Lake. I've known David for about 10 years. You know, our industry is relatively small. There are a handful of folks that, you know, own sports teams, and everybody knew David was a big-time soccer fan and owned Crystal Palace and was buying other clubs in Europe. And 10 years or so ago, when he came back from the UK, he was back in New York for a month, and I was one of his first meetings, and been talking to him about coming into MLS for many, many years, but it required really the right market and the right opportunity. So this opportunity arose, and we were always very committed that we needed to have a local ownership group partner with anybody if the general partner was not going to be local, and to be able to have that person be Ryan is really a great win. You know, it's a really good question. You know, the owning an NBA team and an NHL team, operating two venues in two cities, and combining that with the love of the game and the experience with now 6 professional football clubs, yeah, that's a pretty dream combination right there. So I think his experience is perfect. You know, David's a young guy and has got a lot of energy. He played the game and has been following the game. And I want to really emphasize that without Ryan, the combination of the two, I'm not sure we would have gone forward. You know, we really needed and insisted on a local component. And now you have Ryan, who we spoke to first. It was the first phone call we made when MLS took over the sales process, was to Ryan Smith. And you know, a month after that first call, he bought the Jazz, so he got a little busy. But here we are, and was able to make the deal.
So I'm curious, what was did he know much about Salt Lake or Utah? Was there some, did Ryan bring him up to speed on that, or you? Or?
Well, you know, David, like so many of us, I mean, I've spent a lot of time here in Salt Lake. I mean, if you ski, and I've been skiing my whole life, you spend time here, and David's been skiing here for 40 years. So he knew the market, but, you know, he's been an NBA owner for quite some time, and, you know, the Jazz, one of the banner franchises in the whole National Basketball Association. So he knows the market, and anybody in pro sports knows, you know, Salt Lake because of the Jazz. So I think his connection to Ryan, and that came through the NBA, allowed them both to talk about, and I think they should speak to this, talk about what together they could achieve that would be better than any individual ownership group coming in on their own.
What does this do for the league to have this deal?
You know, this is a perfect scenario, right? And you know, I have to say this team is close to the league's heart. It was the first expansion team that we brought in '05, along with a second team in Los Angeles when we restructured our league. We were very involved in getting the stadium built and launching the club with Dave Checketts, and then bringing in Deloy, and then Deloy has been involved with our league for quite some time and really elevated the club here in the community, particularly with the project in Harriman. And this is the next chapter in that book. We've got a young tech entrepreneur who's well known, and somebody that'll bring his innovative approach to sports to Major League Soccer, and I'm very, very excited about that. You have David, who's got great experience already in 2 North American sports leagues and many international clubs. I mean, it is a dream ownership group, and things don't always work out that well, right? So I'm very, very pleased that it worked out this way. Very much so. I mean, not every fan knows about that, and not everybody in the community knows about that. One of the great training facilities in all of global football, global soccer, is here in the Salt Lake area, in this region, in Harriman. The complex is amazing. The academy is terrific. They have a second team. They have the right to bring back the NWSL team, and I'm hopeful and have expectations that they will. You think about the combination of those assets, those different brands, that's unusual for a young league like ours. So that's why the sales process was complicated, because there were a number of elements within it. But here we are, and it's an exciting day. Well, you know, it's less about guarantees and it's more about a general understanding. I mean, this stadium is terrific. It was built in 2009. 2009, and we've got a lot of new stadiums that have been built since then. So they're going to take a look at everything that needs to be done here and in Harriman and make whatever adjustments need to be made.
How much is off your plate now that you've sold 3 teams in less than a year?
Well, this is part of the maturation process of any sports league. When we're going into now my 24th season and the league's 27th season, and there's going to be some transition of ownership over that period of time. So there were 3 team sales in a short period of time, and we have some expansion coming in, a new team in Charlotte coming in next year, a new team in St. Louis coming in after that. We have 2 new facilities coming online, our Nashville facility, 30,000 seats, coming on this year, and our St. Louis complex will come on later in the spring. I mean, we got a lot of stuff going on. I mean, this is an unbelievably exciting time to be in the sports business, and consumers are telling us, viewers are telling us when and how they want to watch games and interact with games, and we're going to deliver them where they want it, how they want it, and on unique platforms. So we got very fortunate that our media deals, all of our content relationships expire at the end of the 23 season, and we're out very active in the marketplace with our, hopefully new relationships that we'll announce halfway through this year.
Just last question, will you just speak a little bit about how unusual or remarkable it was that what Salt Lake was able to accomplish with no owner last year?
Leagues don't like to operate teams, and it's not what we do. And John Kimball and his staff were great caretakers and managers of this club on and off the field, reporting into a league executive in New York City, and to keep the brand going and to keep the fans entertained, to deliver unbelievable excitement all the way through the playoffs in an unexpected way is a remarkable achievement and a great undertaking, and they deserve a really a great pat on the back and an acknowledgement from everybody who cares about this club and its family of different facilities. So a great thank you to John and his staff. We're really proud of them.
If RSL had won 2 more games, who would you have handed the trophy to?
We probably would have handed it to John Kimball. I'm sure he was polishing his new suit and hoping that he was going to be receiving that trophy.
All right.
Take care.
Well, we've known of each other for years. We have a ton of mutual friends in common. So I've been hearing about Ryan Smith. I've followed Qualtrics, et cetera. But in terms of him and I, it was really when Ryan came into the NBA.
Yeah, I think, being on those calls, you get to know a lot of personalities and a lot of people. And then, we spoke a couple months ago. And then most recently, this happened pretty quick. I mean, there was there was interest at every level. There was interest from our side, but we ended up doing the Jazz a week later, and that's a big project, right? And it's a lot of work. So,
Let me ask you: when you went ahead and bought the Jazz, did you think that was the end of this opportunity? Or?
I didn't know. I mean, it was such a daunting undertaking, and such an amazing legacy with the Millers that it's you're kind of just focused on that. And I assumed that probably someone would come in. I never in my wildest dreams would have been able to see that Blitzer would choose Utah because of his soccer portfolio. I mean, I hope Utahns are excited and really understand that David's been looking at the MLS for 10 years, has probably one of the top 2 soccer portfolios in the world, and we're not just getting someone coming in, we're getting an entire network, and our footprint just expanded, and that's pretty special. And so when we called and said, hey, you want to do it together, it was, are you kidding me? And then it all comes down to, can you get a deal done? Mm-hmm. And
Exactly.
So were you all watching the team play, and what were your thoughts, David?
Well, look, I mean, putting on my fan hat, it's hard to get transactions done. So even though I was very excited to be able to come to this state and to this city and to this market and to RSL, and obviously to be able to do that with Ryan for me was, kind of perfect. But then you didn't know if you were going to get something done. So I'm watching the team just with, as a fan all throughout, kind of the, let's call it late summer into the end of the season. And it was kind of, as you all know, a very fun run. I mean, I still know where I was sitting there when they made the playoffs on. I mean, the odds of that happening were really low and super exciting. And then the run to the Western Conference Finals is really cool. And look, we're fans, right? I mean, you've probably seen Ryan at Jazz games. You see me at games. You never get the fan out of you in that sense. So it was a lot of fun to watch. Yeah, well, look, I mean, the reality is I don't think I'm an anything guy from that standpoint. I've lived, in many different places in many different countries. And from my perspective, I'm very bullish on the MLS, and I'm very bullish on U.S. soccer and just where this country is going with this sport. But it was all about the partner and the market. And so to Ryan's point, I've looked at investing in various MLS clubs since I moved back to the U.S. about close to 10 years ago. But it just didn't click in that sense in terms of the partner and the marketplace. And this clicked very clearly. I mean, incredible market, incredible state, incredible infrastructure, and an incredible partner. So what does that all mean? I don't know. Ryan and I are on day one, right? But the reality is, having invested in a variety of sports teams, period, but then, soccer teams, I think I just have a view that over time there are benefits to that equation, right? And so this market just got larger in the sense that they can touch the UK from a soccer perspective, or Germany, or some of those amazing other soccer markets. I don't know what that means, but my sense is there'll be benefits. I'd love to see one of the European teams come and play on a tour, in Salt Lake, and and come to the academy. But again, we're early in our journey, and so I think it'll be exciting.
Yeah, I would just add that in a dream scenario, we're a market that has 2 professional sports teams, and I think we're the only ones where those are connected now. And that would always be, I think, everyone's dream scenario, because it doesn't take a lot to understand the synergies. And it's about community. We both believe this. We're stewards over this. Gail Miller, it's the first thing she told me, and I totally see that. We have day jobs, and I think that we're both passionate about that. And so when you can bring the communities and the fan bases together as one family, you do it. And we're fortunate to be in a spot to be able to do that. And I think it's a big win. I think it's a big win for David coming in here. With that footprint that it brings, and that's unique to MLS. And I think there might be 2 teams, because there's only 2 portfolios that look like the one David brings. And then I think being tied to the other professional sports team is unique. And so when people are talking about the partnership, what's also unique is my partners in the Jazz and SCG all said we're all in on Utah, and we're all in on MLS. And that's how deals get done.
It's great. And look at this, right? I mean, I've been coming out skiing in Utah since I was 7 years old, so I'm probably at near 45, 44, something like that. So yeah, absolutely.
So that this is kind of a unique sports market, like you just mentioned a little bit. Ryan probably understands that better than the rest of us, but
better than anybody, other than the Millers.
So what do you think? What do you think, Ryan? I guess in talking to him and in bringing him in, is it going to expand sort of what people understand about this market and why it is unique?
Well, so first of all, I think people understand the market. I mean, if you're in sports, David understands Utah. He's been here. He's had teams come here. Utah's not a secret anymore. And I think that today is a manifestation of that David's looked at teams early on in MLS when prices were probably a lot cheaper and the opportunity was there, and said, no, I need the right fit. And this is where he's chose to make his play in MLS. And I think that's the first piece of it. But Utah continues to grow with or without sports, or with or without. I mean, it's going. And I think that we have a chance to really try to bring the community together. There's an additional fan base. There's a lot of overlap. But with the community and the globalization of soccer, oh my word, how do you tie those together? How do we tie other events that are coming through with both stadiums that we have and both practice facilities? And there's a lot of synergy that we have and a lot of tools we have to work with to continue to elevate. They're both phenomenal organizations here, and there's no secret how great and how impactful RSL's been, both in MLS and then the Jazz for NBA. And David gets that.
Look, it's an incredible market. There's no question about that. And the growth is clear and obvious, but the fan base, right? It's passionate. It's an amazing fan base. You have an amazing fan base with the Jazz. Now you have both amazing fan bases. What I'd love to continue to see is obviously invest in our existing fan base because we love them, but continue to grow that fan base. Grow it across this market, grow it across this state, grow it more broadly.
Europe.
So I think we're really excited about that. But we're starting with such an incredible environment around this market and around this team. It's just exciting. I don't think there's a quick answer to that question because I've never thought that it's just, quote, a Moneyball thing or it's just a spend to the absolute max thing. It's like anything. It's a combination of factors in bringing together a team and a culture and a way of playing and a passion for being out there in this club. And, this is day one for Ryan and I, right? So there's a lot for us to work through and a lot to talk through, but we have a great management team. And we were able to, sign and extend our coach, who we're really excited about. Mm-hmm. And, Pablo's going to have, obviously, a lot of views. And, again, I think we are clearly interested and super competitive of wanting to have a team that's going to win the MLS Cup. Let's be clear. There's no doubt about that. How that all comes through and the formation of the team is obviously a ongoing.
It's a journey. It's not 1 year.
Exactly.
It's you've got to be looking out and saying, hey, what does this look like? But I mean, we want to win. I think there's short term and then there's long term, right? And you have to look at every facility that way, right? I mean, we've had a lot of discussions about what they've got in Philadelphia, and I will tell you that within this group we're pretty well versed on facilities because that's a commonality with every sports team. And so we're going to look and say, okay, what does this facility offer? There's a lot of goodness and greatness that I can see already that I saw before. Not only that, but also the training facility, but also where's sports going? Where's the fan experience going? I mean, that's a world I come from. And, trying to say, hey, how do people want to view? And there's not a commissioner in any professional sports that isn't trying to intersect with the future technology, fan experience, and how do we bring that to life? And that's a journey as well. And so, Rome wasn't built in a day on that, but we're starting from where we are today. The question is, how do we intersect our facility and fan experience with the future?
Right. I think that's obviously very well said. Look, I think we're starting from a position of strength. When you look at all the facilities in the training facilities, in the academy, and this stadium, so we're excited about that. But it's very clear again that Ryan and I care deeply about the teams, the communities, the fan experiences. So there'll be money put in that you won't see. There'll be money that gets put in that you will see, but this is a journey, and we're excited to continuously invest in this club.
Your background in soccer, we know you own clubs, but you played also. Can you tell the fans about that?
Played, yeah. I was a really good high school player who could not play beyond high school. But look, I love the sport. It's fantastic. I wish I was better. We might be having a different conversation right now.
You're a great talent scout, is what you're saying, right? You can
Exactly.
spot talent a mile away. Will this affect your NBA relationship at all?
Yeah, it's funny.
Well,
we were both,
we're done playing the Jazz for this season unless we meet in the NBA Finals, so that's
Yeah.
helpful.
Yeah. It was funny though. We were both in the suite last night, talking and both watching the Sixers.
We had
and
separate
and
games on.
Both teams won, so everyone's in a better mood this morning.
Yes, I went. The fact that we both won last night was a good outcome. I'm sure we will have some fun as the years and seasons progress. But look, they have an amazing franchise. I think we have an amazing franchise, and I can only hope that the Sixers and the Jazz will meet in the NBA Finals one day.
That'd be great.
All right, we'll see everybody at noon.